Welcome to Backstage Takoma. Today we have Tim Livengood with us. Tim is the host of a new storytelling program we are hosting here at the Takoma Park Community Center as part of the We Are Takoma series. The series will provide the opportunity to listen to and share your own stories. Stories may be humorous or serious, truthful even, but there is no requirement for factual accuracy. Isn't that right, Tim?
That's absolutely correct. There are lots of opportunities to tell true life stories just when you come home from work or from school and you get asked, well, what happened to you today? Okay, so there's plenty of time for true stories, but there's a lot more to storytelling than true stories. And there's true with a little t, what really happened, and then there's true with a big T, what mattered about it. And that's really the kind of storytelling that we're getting at, the stuff that people have been handing down for thousands of years.
And how would you describe what storytelling is?
Well, storytelling is pretty obvious at the simplest level. It's just telling a narrative that has a set of things that happen in it. But there's, of course, a lot more complexity to it than that. There's many, many flavors of storytelling. There's tall tale type stories where you've got Pecos Bill and Paul Bunyan, or things that you claim happened to yourself that get more and more extravagant. There can be stories about just tiny little things, but they tell you about people, or huge things. There's factually accurate stories, but there's a whole lot of other type stories beyond that. The big thing is that while some people do what's called literary storytelling, where you have a written story that you actually tell people in front of you with emotion and example and body language and all of that good stuff, a lot of storytelling, folk tales, are really more a matter of you know what the story is, and then you just improvise yourself as you go along through it. So it's a fresh, new interaction with the person or people in front of you every time.
So how is this storytelling series going to be different from Speakeasy DC or The Moth or other popular storytelling venues?
Well, what's become really popular in the last few years is autobiographical storytelling, and I think it's great. I have The Moth on my iPad and I listen to it all the time. There's The Stoop up in Baltimore, Better Said Than Done, Busboys and Poets. I mean, I do want all of them to keep plenty of audience because they're great things. But there's more to storytelling than just your own autobiography. Everybody knows stories like The Three Little Pigs, which is a simple story. You can tell it at a very simple level. You can tell it at a complicated level. The difference between a fictional folktale and an autobiographic story is that life often doesn't provide you with clean and tidy lessons that you can point back and say, remember that moment? But fictional storytelling does. It's designed to do that. So you say, remember the third little pig and how he built his house out of brick? He planned, he was careful, and he protected his family. That kind of thing. So now it's not just going to be The Three Little Pigs. I myself, mostly I work with original stories that I do myself, but there are other people who tell real traditional folk tales. There are yet other people who tell stories from traditions that are probably less familiar to Americans these days, and I love all those stories. They're all great.
And how did you get into storytelling?
I actually got started really by listening to another famous storyteller who is not usually described as a storyteller, but Bill Cosby. His comedy is really storytelling. And I assume that there's a certain amount of exaggeration in some of his stories, like the one about 900 cop cars and the kids in the go-karts. But I love that kind of thing, and listening to how he presented this, in that case, a tall tale, but these humorous stories of life really was an exercise, a training in how to tell a story in an engaging and exciting way. And then just as the years have gone on, I just got in the habit of telling stories.
And will the story swap session occur at each storytelling event that we have here?
What I'd like to do, and I suppose it depends on how strong the community is in providing fresh stories. But what we'll do is in February, April, and June, we'll have a program like we're talking about next week. Me and two other more practice tellers with a story swap component. And then yes, I did say April. In March and in May, we will have one with just me and whoever comes to the audience. So I'll tell a few framing stories to get things going, and then it will largely be just story swap opportunities. So local people in your community telling whatever story they would like to tell. And that can be a little bit longer.
And so for people who want to participate, they just show up. There's no formal sign-up process.
Just show up.
Okay.
Probably what we will do is I will have a hat, probably a humorous hat, and ask people to write their name on a little slip and throw it in the hat so that we can have a nice random choice. I hope that I don't have to pull out every slip from the hat. I'd like to have more than enough.
Thank you for joining us. And we hope you can join us next Thursday, February 6th at 7:30 p.m. here at the Takoma Park Community Center for Tall Tales and Other Stories with host Tim Livengood. Until next time.